to take out to him, and I'm like, like, which I could fix, just no problem.
Okay. I understand when you first got here that, like I said, you are building the concept behind the whole augmentation team. There was some problems with trying to make the traditional company work. We know the company gunny, company first sergeant, taking care of administration here at the. And I understand there's what, like 7 augmentation teams or 6 augmentation teams.
Augmentation teams, as far as
in the city there's
in the city there's much more. Like, I couldn't even tell you how many there are. I don't know. I know for my company specifically, we have 6 Lima company, and then we actually adopted a station from another company that's under Lima company command, because this is working so well. They decided to mirror this and mirror it just till it's like spreading. But as far as the city goes, I really couldn't tell you. I know we have 7 under Lima company right now.
Well, in the beginning, they were trying to make the traditional administration work. The company gunny, company first were trying to take care of the augmentation, and that wasn't working. And I understand that y'all implemented something.
Well, if you think about it, like, we have 11 Marines here at this station, but we have roughly 200 IPs. And like, combined together, we form like a little company here. Like, we have our own base. Like I was saying, last year we had a whole company at a base. Like, this year we have like a company at a station, but it's not a company of Marines. It's a company of IPs. So you have to supply those guys as a company. And what's happening is now you have a station that needs to supply somebody as a company, and it's just a squad. So when you go back to where your company is located, they're supplying to all of these company level things, which turns their job into like a battalion level supply, and then which turns your battalion level supply into like a division level supply, and it's just, a regimental supply, and it just, like, you have, which we didn't train for that, we didn't expect that, we didn't expect this to grow like this. And so what you had was like a company gunny doing like a battalion level job, and then you had us here who not even like no level gunny, not worrying with like logistics at all, and now we're having to do like company level logistical training or logistical support. And like I said, myself being the Bravo, all my guys under me were all juniors with the exception of one guy I have from last year. So we had I appointed a PFC in charge of my S4 shop, which was logistics, and I had a PFC Ariza. He would run our entire station here, like all the logistical supplies he would send up through our company gunny, who was actually running like battalion logistics. And it was not an easy process, like a lot of trial and error, very painful. It took about 5 months for us to get it going, and it's going pretty smooth right now, just from learning from our mistakes.
That was something that this augmentation team invented, was it not? Or put together?
Like, I wouldn't say like logistics we invented like the system. What we did here is when we started here, we started completely from scratch. We didn't have anything. There was actually an Army pit team, which I'm not even sure what it stands for, but they're like a designated augmentation team. Their like job is to train IPs and work with them, and the Army actually has those. That's why they're called pit teams. Marine Corps doesn't have pit teams. That's why they labeled us as augmentation teams. So when we came here and we did a changeover with them, and we took over Azazia, which was ran by them, the station was just getting off the ground. It was here for a few months. Like the IPs, like I said, they weren't real organized. It was hard to keep track of them. So everything they gave us didn't really give us any help, and it was more painful trying to make sense of the documents and the information they gave us. So what I ended up doing is I said, I've had enough of it. I threw it all out the window. I actually went and burnt it all. And we started completely from scratch. And what we did, we're like, well, we're working at such a higher level. We decided to design this station on like a battalion level, how they design it, and it's designed through these shops. They're called S1 through S6. S1 being your administration, S2 being intelligence, S3 being operations and training, S4 being logistics, S5 being civil affairs.
Oh, we did back here? Oh, control's back. Alright, we're going to pause this here.
Okay. Just remind.
Unfortunately, we had to stop because the patrol that we thought was going to be back in about an hour and a half returned within an hour. So I believe the last thing we left off with was you were talking about the S shops.
That's right. The S shops. This system we started up. It's not really a system I created. Like, it's used throughout the Marine Corps, but we just made it on like a lower level. Like the S shops being the admin, S1 being admin, S2 being intel, S3 ops and training, S4 logistics, S5 civil affairs, and S6 being comm. And what we came down here is what I just task out my junior Marines around me, my junior Marines that I had down here. I'd task them out and say, okay, like you're going to be in charge of the S1 and admin. And we had like this guy specific for any sort of administrative stuff, and and how that'd work. If anything came down through company, came down through hire, like something for a roster, something we need to be completed, like administratively, like accountability, tracking IP, stuff like that. Like we could go straight to him. It wasn't like, oh, who did this roster, who did that roster. It wasn't like something I'd task out just like randomly to the guys. One guy like specialized in that field, and the fields went down all the way, like I said, through intel. We had guys like designated to intel. They'd go back to company and do like company level intel training on gathering intel, detainees, stuff like that. S3 being ops, like tracking our ops, setting up ops, dealing with the IPs, like the training side. Like I said, S3 is ops and training. And then S4 was the logistical side of things, which was a huge mountain to overcome. Like to the beginning, like I was saying, logistics were just horrible towards the beginning because we didn't prepare for it and we were spread out so thin. And how it broke down to where like you had a squad acting like a company and like a company acting like a battalion. And so we just broke it down and made one person or two people. We actually put two in charge of that. One IP side, one Marine side, and they both sort of specialized in those, where we could go to those two guys, and they always, like, they knew like back from previous information. It wasn't like this guy handled that part, this guy handled that part. Like one guy specialized in it. The civil affairs wasn't as big as a piece, more for like Lieutenant Falk. My side, it was just like handling like claims, like IP claims, handling civilian claims. And what a claim is basically, it's a small thing we had during our time here, our civil military operations. A lot of these houses are like burnt down, like broken, shot up. People would make claims saying, hey, U.S. forces destroyed my house on this date and this date, this is what it's cost, and they provide the proper documentation, all that. And we'd have a claim center where they came in, and an American judge would sit down, like a JAG officer, and would actually look at their claim and say, okay, I'll settle your claim for this much money. And it helped us get money out to the people, made the people like us more, like, hey, the Marines are here to help rebuild, they're sorry for blowing up my house, stuff like that. And I pretty much handled most of that stuff. And then the S6, the comm, was like very low level because we had company level comm guys deal with like the crypto and stuff like that. The comm was just like accountability purposes and maintenance.
Okay.
So.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the claims. I had never heard about that. I'm glad you brought that to our attention. And thanks for explaining the S shops. I mean, that is interesting that a 10-man Marine augmentation team would be structured kind of around a battalion S shop. That's good. I guess really what I want to get at now, and we're kind of down to the last 20 minutes. I recall earlier we were having a discussion about the relationship you have with Iraqis, and I was a bit surprised to find out that you're doing the job and you're not really digging it. Could you kind of explain that?
I wouldn't say I'm not really digging it. Like I do. I like my job. I like being a Marine. I like what I'm doing here. And like I was telling you earlier, I had a chance to not do this. Like we sort of built these augmentation teams. I wouldn't say like hand selected, but they were definitely like reviewed, saying this guy's not cut out for it. This guy is. And the choice few guys that like we took out, like they were out of the way, and then we had the guys who were like, okay, these guys can do it. Like this guy will be good at it. I was viewed as one of those guys who would be good at it, not for the reason of like I would enjoy it, but just because like my type of character and my abilities. Do I like it here in Iraq? Do I like the people? I'm gonna say no. Like I don't really like their way of culture. Like I'm an American. I don't really like their culture. I don't really like the way they live. But my job being here as a Bravo and a commander, I have to portray the image that I do and like befriend them and stuff like that. So.
You were saying about. Hold on. Can you pause it real quick?